Coach, congrats on the record.
Thank you.
Now you've had a little bit of time to soak it in, and you're probably happy it's finally done with.
Yeah.
What does it mean to be now the all-time winningest coach in women's basketball, in college basketball history, number one?
Yeah, I was saying this earlier that, when something happens that you're not exactly planning for or expecting, you're more just, surprised, and you're, kind of lost for words a lot of times. I know it means a lot to a lot of people. A lot of people here at UConn that worked really, really hard to make it possible. You saw all the players here. It means a lot to them. Every single person that had a hand in all this, it means a lot to them to be a part of it, to come back and want to share in it. And I'm sure, when this season's over, I'll be able to, look back on it and think about it and see where, it all fits. We have practice tomorrow, so that's kind of where we are.
You just go like that.
I don't need, oh, there we go, sorry. You knew 63 players were gonna be here, but to sort of see all of them on the court, it seems like it hit you pretty hard. What did it mean to have all those people show up on a Wednesday night in Connecticut?
I was shocked because they had to pay their own way. And if you know any of these guys, they all have their Holy Communion money. But they, I think Dee and Rebecca and Maya Sue, they said it. There's a thread, there's a bond that whether they played on the same team or not, there's a thread that goes through all of them that binds them together. And for me, it made it easy to answer the question about how do I feel about what just happened, and you can just point over there and say, this is what I was fortunate enough to be able to have. Not every coach, actually not any coach in America has had the good fortune, the privilege to have the players that I've had. And they took a chance the early years, the early teams. There was nothing here to offer them, so they were going on faith, and they took a risk by coming here. They believed that there was something that we could do that was pretty unique or different. And I'm happy for them. I'm thrilled because they're gonna have a story that they're gonna tell, and they had whether they had a whole chapter because of who they were, or they just have one page, or whether they have one line in the story of UConn women's basketball, they all have a piece of it, and that's that makes me feel really, really, really good. As I said earlier, I'm not that much different than a high school teacher, a high school coach that has a huge impact on kids. I know I had that when I was in high school with my coach, and I know a lot of players that are not fortunate enough to have that kind of experience. But when you have an experience like I had, in high school and college, where the things are, memorable, and the impact, and I've had some professors and I've had some teachers that I'll remember the rest of my life for the impact that they had on me. And we got into this business because we wanted to have that impact. and to see that we have had that impact is really, that's extremely gratifying to me.
Two game-related questions. First, how good was it to see AZ out there after a year away from the game? And then secondly, just talk about how quickly Sarah is kind of forming into shape right now. She just looks like one of your better players, if not your second best player.
Yeah. AZ's waited a long time, obviously. Since her junior year in high school, she's missed more basketball than she's actually played. So I know how hard she's worked. I know what it's meant to her to come back. And it's going to be slow going in the beginning, but she changes our team. She makes us better. She not that others can't, but I think we would have the makings of what makes a really, really competitor. Someone that can compete for a team that can compete for a championship. You have to have great inside play. You have to have a really good wing player, and you have to have a really, really good guard. And you look at the best teams that I've had. Whether it was Renee, Maya, and Tina, or Sue, and Dee, and well, they had too many. AZ to be good. So and Stewie and Tuck and Raya. So I think AZ makes us whole. It gives us those three things that we need, and it's not going to show itself this week or next week, and maybe the whole month of November. I don't know, but when we get her fully acclimated, we're a different team.
And Sarah?
Well, Sarah's been really, really good since the day she got here. She just doesn't know what she's doing sometimes. And the biggest difference between Sarah and Maya Moore, there's no way Maya Moore would ever pass the ball when she was open. There's no way Maya Moore would pass the ball if one guy was guarding her. There's no way Maya would pass the ball if two guys were guarding her when she was in position to score. Sarah has nobody guarding her and wants to pass it. So I had a little talk with her on the court when I called her over, and I'm glad that she responded because she's too good a player, and she's a difference maker. You saw it, and what I like to say about freshmen, this is the worst they're going to be. They're only going to get better from here.
Geno, to your left.
Where you might.
Hey, congratulations.
Thank you.
It said that records are set to be broken, but 12-17, or really whatever you finish at, is probably going to be untouchable for a really long time, maybe forever. I don't know what you think about that, the possibility of someone else ever matching this.
Yeah. The world's changed so much, the game's changing, the role of coaches is changing. I don't know that coaches are going to want to be spending 40 years doing the same thing in the environment that they're doing it in now, or they're asked to do it in now. So I would hope that there's some young coach out there that thinks that they can do it, and there may be, but the environment is more challenging than it's ever been. People treat coaches with less respect than they ever have. So they're really up against it if that's their goal. But I wouldn't want to go back and do it over again. I'll tell you that. Man, no, stuff's hard. Wears you out. It really does. It's all fun and games. Don't get me wrong. I worked in a steel mill, so I'm not complaining. Trust me. But, you know, emotionally, it takes a lot out of you, you know. I mean, how many of us have had kids and then they turn a certain age and they leave, and then we get a breather and we go, man, that feels great. Okay, I hope I did a great job. They're off on their own. God bless them. Well, I never get a chance to do that because the minute they leave, 3 more wackos that are 18 years old come in, and I got to deal with that all over again. So it's it's emotionally draining, but it's also tremendously inspiring too when you see them have success. You know, this is something I would do for free. I mean, I don't do it for the money, but if it wasn't for the money, I wouldn't do it. But that's not why I do it.
You know, back in '91 in Philly when you won your first regional, I mean, a lot of teams get to the Final Four, you look at the whole history, and it's one and done. Did you feel right then and there, even though you didn't win that one, that now you can get to the next level?
You know, the hardest thing about going to your first Final Four, and I had a talk with Danny about this, the hardest thing about going is you're scarred for life, regardless of what happens. And we didn't win. And we probably weren't good enough to win. I don't know. You know, it was, you know, a 4-point game with a minute left, and Tanya Cardozo kept making free throws, and we lost. And you're obsessed now with going back. And we didn't go back in '92, and we didn't go back in '93, and we didn't go back in '94. And you do start to think, man, maybe that was a one and done, you know? And then when you win a national championship in '95, now you're doubly scarred because you want to go back and win another one right away. And we didn't win one in '96, or '97, or '98, or '99. So all these things that happened do make you realize this stuff is hard. And you're fortunate to be able to do it, but you're never quite sure you're going to be able to go back. So that first one in '91, the one glimmer that I had that we could do more was that group that went to the Final Four in '91. Now, one team that was in the Final Four, Tennessee, Stanford, or Virginia, knew the kids' names that were playing for me when they were in high school. And that was, I put that in the back of my mind, and I said, okay, well, if we can ever get some of the players that they're getting, then I think we can do something. But, you know, things got to break. Things got to break right for you, and they did. Yeah. Oh, what do we got here?
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
To follow up on Mike's question, not a lot of your peers age-wise are still doing this, even
Yeah.
people, coaches that are 10 and 15 years younger, and I mean both on the men's and women's side.
Yeah.
What has been the biggest thing that has allowed you to want to keep doing it and to still have the positive feelings that you have about it?
Michael, that's a hard question to answer. I ask myself that once a week. You know, is this really what somebody my age is supposed to be doing? You know, you know, you get a beautiful day, you know, and we've had the greatest fall probably in Connecticut since I've been here in 40 years. And, you know, all my friends are texting me, hey, you want to play golf? I gotta go to practice today. And then I'll go, what the hell's wrong with you? Like, why are you still doing this? You know, so there's things I like to be doing. But then when I come to practice, I realize why I'm there. And it still feels important, and it still feels like it means something that I'm there. And when, you know, when I get those feelings, you know, if I'm flying back from watching a kid play, you know, who's my grandson's age, and I'm thinking, what the hell, you know, why am I putting myself through this? But the answer always comes back, because it still matters to me. It still matters, and it matters to a lot of people that I have contact with. It matters to my assistants, it matters to my support staff, it matters to Chris, our equipment guy. It matters to those people. And you know, you wanna matter in life, right? All right, Emily, how long are you gonna wait?
You talked about the toll that the injuries and everything have taken on you personally over the last couple of years. Did it feel poetic for you to have tonight be the night that AZ came back and to have the reception she did and everything from the fans?
Yeah, you know, we've talked about it. Those, you know, that cover us on a regular basis. I would say since COVID, nothing has been normal in my life, and a lot of people's lives were upended by COVID. And you know, Paige was here during COVID, and so I've seen her try to manage that as a freshman, not even close to the college experience she expected, and then have to manage the injuries. So COVID leads to a reduced roster, which leads to heartache in the Final Four, which leads to the following year great optimism, and then heartache because we just lost a couple more players, and then optimism. Oh, we'll get everybody back next year, and then boom, it's taken from us again. Not to mention the personal, my personal loss or what happened to me, health-wise. So put them all together, and it's been a very, very difficult, 4-year period. But as bad as it was, while we were doing it, there was this sense of everybody we always play always comments on how many All-Americans we have. Like the teams that we beat in the Final Four or in the Final 8 are playing with walk-ons. Like it's so funny, right? Like we're the only ones that have All-Americans. So knowing that we're missing a lot of players and we're still able to have the success that we've had kind of made us feel like it's another opportunity to prove to everybody how tough we are, how good we are, how resilient we are. So we took it, all those setbacks, all those things that happened to me personally and to our team as an opportunity to show, who we are and what we're made of. I wouldn't want anybody else to go through it like it was those 4 years. But we came out of it on the other side in pretty good shape, and let's see, knock on wood, let's see where this takes us. But on a night like that, when AZ told me that, when they told me that AZ wasn't gonna play till December, and then she walked in my office, and told me I'm gonna play November 20th. I don't know why she picked that date, but she did, and I thought everybody was here for AZ Fud Night. So I was pretty excited to be a part of AZ Fud Night.
Your name's the one that's gonna go.
Hey.
Your name's the one that's gonna go in the record book. Obviously, you and CD have done this together for the whole time. Just what's made it such a great partnership, and what was it about her all those years ago that made you want her on your staff?
Yeah, this is kind of wearing itself out, this story about, how much CD means to me and all that, I think we need to go in another narrative and go how lucky she is to have been a part of me and how much I've helped her and, helped her overcome all her weaknesses and had to fix all her mistakes and, she provided, I guess her biggest contribution was, her clothing that she wears on the sidelines. She wants to impress everybody. So she should be a Hall of Famer just for that. But I'm really kind of over it with CD. But the real answer you want is if she hadn't said yes when I asked her 4 years ago, it's safe to say that it wouldn't happen. There's just too much then. It's too much involved. It's too big. There was too many things to do that I could never have been able to do. I'm not afraid to admit this. I've never kind of done much on my own. I mean, everywhere I've been, I've relied on other people to if you left me by myself to do something, it wouldn't get done. No chance. No chance. Zero.
You know, the Philly thing, the way it all plays out was a little ironic that the other coach would be.
Yeah, I know.
Gately.
I'm constantly reminded of how many of these coaches were playing when I was coaching. You know, Stephanie was playing at Villanova when I was coaching at St. Joe's. And that was in 1978. All right? And it's mind-boggling to think that I'm at St. Joe's coaching. We're playing Villanova, and you know, twice, you know, or at least once back then, either at the old Cat House or at St. Joe's Fieldhouse. And now here she is across the bench, you know, 47 years later, whatever the heck it is. These are things that happen in like Netflix miniseries. They're not real, but fortunately, they are.
Maggie?
You took the time when you were out there to call out your family by name. There was all of them, the majority of them. What does it mean to have them have made the trip out here just for this midweek game? Your family.
My family. Yeah, I've got a pretty weird family when it comes to that kind of stuff. They've a lot of them kind of stopped celebrating along the way. You know, they're kind of over it. You know, yeah. You know, but I think this one, for whatever reason, everyone wanted to be a part of it. You know, they don't all go to Final Fours all the time. They don't all, you know, are part of, you know, everything all the time. But for this particular one, they wanted to be a part of it. And I'm so glad because we almost never have an opportunity to all be together. You know, they live in Norristown, and you know, we're up here, and there's just not as many opportunities as before. But and again, it's another reminder of you know, how far this journey's been. You know. And how incredible it is that I'm sitting here.
Coach, you shot just 32% from 3 today.
Way to ruin the goddamn party.
Yeah. Sorry. I just really
Yeah.
want this quote.
Yeah.
But you had a plus 16 margin in the boards and a plus 28 margin in the paint. What does it mean for you to form that identity?
What's your major? Are you a student here?
I am, yeah.
What's your major?
My journalism major.
Shit, I know it. Yeah, we shot the ball lousy in the first half anyway. But I wasn't really disappointed with that because I was bitching about our defense at halftime. I didn't care about our offense. And they had 22 points at halftime, whatever they had. But for me, it works this way. If we're getting really good shots on the offensive end and they don't go in, there's not much I can do about that. If they're getting really good shots and they're going in or they're not going in, then I'm pissed. So I wasn't worried about our offense. I wasn't worried about our shooting. And as long as we keep getting good shots, I have confidence in our guys that we're gonna make a lot more than we miss.
Yeah, Geno, as you kind of pointed out, the last 3 or 4 years have been, you know, difficult times, and maybe couldn't even hard time fielding a team with enough players. And it just struck me tonight. You've got AZ and Jana and KK checking in off the bench, and 3 or 4 people behind them ready to check in. Does that energize you, the idea that now that you're in this position, that you might be looking at maybe one of your better teams this year?
Yeah, I just wish that every time I reached in to put somebody in, they weren't a freshman or, you know, a young player, you know. But You know, there's something to be said for only having 7 players or 8 players. The chemistry that you have, substitutions are easy. Everybody gets to play a lot. Unfortunately, we haven't had the luxury of that. You know, we as you said, it was a real struggle. The best thing about what's happening now is they compete and they know that coach is going to give me an opportunity to play, and then what I do with it will determine when my next opportunity is. And we have options that we haven't had in a while here. I like the different combinations, you know, that I like to think that we have players coming off the bench that can impact the game differently than the players that are on the court at that time. We're still trying to figure out what are the best combinations, you know, who fits best together. But it is a luxury that we haven't had in quite some time, and I would definitely say this is the best team that we've had, potentially the best team that we've had in I would say the last 4 years, 5 years. Yeah.
Just with all the pomp and circumstance, the alumni, the GOAT,
The GOAT, Jesus Christ, the GOAT. Can you imagine that? A real GOAT.
You got to take it home?
What? I scratched myself petty.
Between it all, is there a moment that you're going to take away the most or remember from tonight?
Yeah. It's not a moment. It's what Sue started to say, what Maya continued to say, what Rebecca added, and it all piled up. And when Dee was talking about why tonight was the way it was, and you know the relationship that I have with her, that probably was for me the most emotional moment. Listening to her describe what, and I'm speaking for she was speaking for the rest of the team, but and anytime Dee talks about her time here with me and this program, it's very emotional for me. So that's probably the biggest moment.
Why is it so emotional for you?
I just remember what we went through together, how much she meant to so many people here, what she meant to me, to my family, to my mom. She's just one of those unique people that comes into your life, and you're better off for having her in your life. And you know, the people on the outside, they see the competitive, snarky Dee that will cut your heart out. But there's something about her that makes me feel better to know that she's in my world and I'm in hers.
Geno, that conversation that you had with AZ, that you talked about her picking tonight to come back, just when was that?
Well, since we announced it this morning, or when did we announce it? This morning? I would say, it was last night, just to keep you guys happy. You can take it for what it's worth.